All right, let's dive into something that might sound a little weird. What if I told you that the secret to getting everything you want is to actually stop trying so hard to get it? I know, it sounds totally backward, right? We're all taught that success is about the grind, the hustle, the fight. But today we're going to explore this really powerful idea that just flips all of that on its head.
I mean, have you ever noticed this in your own life? The more desperately you want something, maybe it's a job or a relationship, or heck, even just trying to fall asleep at night, the more it just seems to slip right through your fingers. It's this super frustrating universal feeling, and it turns out there's a really deep reason why it happens.
You know, this image of the sand, it just perfectly captures the whole idea. The tighter you squeeze, the more you lose. And this isn't just some neat physics trick. It's like a fundamental law for how our minds work. Trying to grip reality, to force it, you just end up with an empty hand.
So let's start by really digging into this central paradox. This idea we all have that trying harder is always the best way to go.
Just think about it for a second. From the time we're kids, it's fight for your goals, hustle hard. But be honest, how often has that white-knuckled, forceful approach actually felt, good, or even worked that well? More often than not, it just leads to burnout and a whole lot of frustration. Now, this isn't just you imagining things. It's a real, recognized principle with a name, and it perfectly explains this weird phenomenon. It's called the law of reversed effort.
The philosopher Alan Watts just nailed it with this definition. And you see this law pop up everywhere. Like when you try to force yourself to fall asleep, yeah, what happens? You just lie there, your mind going a million miles an hour. Or when you try to force a clever comment in a conversation, your mind just goes totally blank. That conscious effort, that straining, it creates this tension that blocks the very thing you want.
Alan Watts used this perfect metaphor for it. Just imagine you've fallen into some deep water. What's your first gut instinct? It's to panic, right? To thrash your arms and legs, desperately trying to force your head above the surface.
And that very struggle, that panicked, desperate energy, is the exact thing that makes you sink. You burn through all your energy, and you're actually fighting against the natural buoyancy of your own body. But what happens if you do the complete opposite? What if you just stop fighting, take a breath, lean back, and just trust the water to do its thing? You float effortlessly. See, the water was always capable of holding you up. The only thing that was ever stopping it was your own struggle against it. That, right there, is the law of reversed effort in action. Okay, so we get what happens. But why? Why are our brains wired this way? Why does being desperate seem to push success away? Well, it really all comes down to the signal you're sending out into the world. When you're operating from a place of neediness, you're basically broadcasting this powerful message of, I don't have this, and my life is worse because of it. That desperate energy, well, it repels people and opportunities. True intention, though, is different. It's a calm confidence. It attracts. It never, ever chases.
And here's the real core of it. Your external world is just a direct reflection of your internal state. I mean, even neurologically, when we're stressed out and trying to force an outcome, the logical, creative part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, it actually starts to shut down. We literally become less smart and less effective the more we panic. So anxious effort can only create an anxious reality.
You know those Chinese finger traps? They are the perfect little mechanical model for this whole idea. You put your fingers in, and your first instinct is to pull away, right? But the harder you pull, the tighter that little trap gets. The only way out is to do the one thing that feels totally wrong. You have to relax and gently push your fingers inward. By moving with the problem instead of against it, you create the space for freedom.
So, if fighting back is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's what we call the art of letting go. And let me be really clear. This is not about being passive or just giving up. It's actually a really powerful, strategic move to align yourself with how things are instead of constantly struggling against them.
The Taoists have this beautiful concept for this. It's called Wu Wei. It basically means effortless action. It's about acting in harmony with the natural flow of things without creating a bunch of friction. Think of a master martial artist. They're relaxed, they're fluid, they use their opponent's own energy against them. Or think of a great surfer, riding a huge wave instead of trying to fight it. That's Wu Wei. Now, this slide here highlights a super important difference. Letting go is not about abandoning your goal. Not at all. It's about releasing your rigid, anxious attachment to one single specific way of getting there.
It's the difference between saying, it has to happen this way versus, this is what I'm aiming for, and I'm open and curious about how the journey unfolds.
This right here, this is the key that unlocks absolutely everything. The moment you can detach your fundamental sense of happiness from a specific outcome, all that pressure just vanishes. The desperation dissolves, and as soon as that wall of tension collapses, the energy can flow freely again. And so often, that's when what you wanted shows up in the most unexpected way.
Okay, so let's make this really practical. How do we actually shift from being this frantic controller of life to being more of a calm, powerful observer? Here's the mental shift you have to make. Stop obsessing over the finish line. That just makes the whole race miserable. Instead, fall in love with the act of running itself. You know, the feeling of your feet on the pavement, the rhythm of your breathing. When you do that, you actually perform better, and the finish line just kind of arrives as a natural consequence. Mastery is always a byproduct of being present.
This table just lays out the choice we have in every single moment. Look at the controller on the left. Their whole mindset is fear. Their main question is, what if it goes wrong? And their state is just anxious and contracted. Now, look at the observer on the right. Their mindset is curiosity. They ask, I wonder how this is going to play out. That simple shift in questioning creates a state of calm, of open awareness. And you can start this right now, today. First, just start to notice where you feel like you're forcing things, where it feels like you're just pushing against a solid wall. Second, in that moment, just stop. Take one deep breath. Third, mentally release your grip. Just say to yourself, you know what, I've done my part, the rest isn't up to me. And finally, consciously shift your internal question from that worried, what if, to a curious, I wonder.
When you boil it all down, it all comes down to a single choice you can make in any situation.
So, I'll just leave you with this to think about. In your job, in your relationships, in your personal goals, what is the one thing you are squeezing just a little too tightly? And what might happen if, just for today, you decided to relax your hand, trust the process, and just see what floats to the surface?